Hello, Mermaid. So I want to review a book. The book I want to review is The Strange Case of Hellish Nell, the story of Helen Duncan and the witch trial of the World War II by Nina Shandler. Now, this is basically a book that discusses what's basically the last, I think at least it was the last, witch trial in Britain. And it's a bit of an odd case because this was during World War II. So by that time, really, the witchcraft law was just a sleeping law, but it didn't get the law didn't get changed before the 1950s, which is why the first book on Wicca was actually written as fiction and not as actual guides to witchcraft because it was illegal at the time. Now, Helen Duncan was a woman that was a medium, and she was in the habit of being extremely accurate in telling exactly where the Allied forces would be. Now, she was doing this to the wives and family of soldiers that came to her wondering if their loved ones were okay. And eventually this made the authorities rather, what shall we say, nervous. Now, whatever or not Helen Duncan's powers are true or not, I can't tell you. Some say that she was some sort of spy and that she used the cover of being a medium as a way of getting this information to the Nazis. Basically, she would tell about this in her seances, and then newspapers would pick it up, and by that way she could send the information, spread the information without appearing to be communicating with anyone. Others say that no, she was an actual psychic and she did just want to help someone. So I would have to say that I can understand why the British government were a bit skeptical because, I mean, she did put the lives of the troops in danger when telling that detailed information about where the Allied forces were. Anyway, she was attempted tried both as a charlatan, but also as a witch. She was sentenced to a few years in jail during the witchcraft clause, and most think that this was just a way for the British government to get rid of her until after the war, and I think that that's a pretty fair guess. And as such, this is actually a more interesting book based on that than the fact that it's has to do anything to do with witchcraft cases, because it has to do with the abuse of power by a government. That basically, it's not like we don't see that today. Various governments pulling up some new law, or in this case, pulling up some old sleeping law and using that to either hold on to someone that they don't have any other cause to hold, or to just make things difficult for somebody they don't like, or get somebody out of the way for a while. And that is actually a grievous misuse of power, though in this case they might have felt that they had to stop her from spreading that information. Anyway, this book covers the trial, and it is done in a sort of novel format that, while it is, as far as I know, based on the actual court records and based on reality. Excuse me, my phone is deciding to make a lot of sounds. Yes. There was suddenly just a storm of messages. Anyway. it is done in a novel format, which I didn't know that when I bought the book. And in one way, it makes it a more fun read. But at the same time, when it is done in such a format, I feel that I can never be completely sure how much of the information is real or not. I would have liked this to be in a more factual format rather than trying to make it seem like a novel. But yeah, it is fairly well written. It covers the trial from beginning to end, and there are lots. One of the things that basically makes it rather factual is that, as you can see here, is the notes section, and it goes from page 209 and to 289. So yes, and all of that are, of course, it's notes, it's sources, and as you can see, they are relatively thorough. So you can get quite a bit of information about this case from this book. So yeah, do I like this book? Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think it's a very interesting case in that it basically showcases a lot of what's going on even today, where sleeping laws are used to get rid of people that the government doesn't want in a legal way. It is interesting to think about what Helen Duncan might have been able to do or not. And yeah, and also it's sort of staggering to think about that this was during World War II, so it was in the 1940s that the witchcraft trials, while there had been quite a few years since the last one before Helen Duncan's case, but that basically it was used all up and then, and perhaps a reminder that even today there are many people around the world that lives in fear of being accused of being witches. So yeah, we have it pretty good here in the West. So yeah, that is my review of The Strange Case of Hellish Nell by Nina Shandler, and it's published by Da Capo. Hope you have enjoyed this review. Have a great day, and blessed be.